Well, hello and good evening. My name is Harry Waring, and I have the honor of hosting tonight's event. Welcome to EHM's virtual sessions. Just a note to our audience that we're going to be taking questions during the session, so you can send them in the chat, and I'll call on you in a little bit. We'll try to fit as many as we can, but also just make sure your mic is unmuted when we call on you. We'll unmute it for you. You just have to click yes and confirm. Also, you might want to change to speaker view during the show to watch it as we go here. And feel free to post, tag at WEHM Radio throughout the night on social media. All right, as we get started, our guest this evening, his musical journey began, I guess, in earnest in a hospital, I believe in Georgia, surrounded by his friends and family after his wife was in a horrible horseback riding accident. Our guest was encouraged by a friend to journal his thoughts as he went through the experience, and the doctors had told him that his wife could be a quadriplegic. Zach and his friends had said that if she recovered, they were going to move to New York and really, I guess, follow their dreams. Well, like the tale of a movie, thankfully, a miracle occurred, and his wife, Stacy, had a full recovery. So they were all off to New York, and to be more exact, Park Slope, Brooklyn. While in the city, Zach performed at various bars, coffee shops, turning his journals into songs, and then he got together with two friends, Brian and Kaneen, and the Lone Bellow was officially born. Flash forward over a decade, they released their fourth album as a band earlier this year, Half Moon Light, produced by Aaron Dessner from The National. They are a perennial member of the EHM New Music Bin. As we unmute and welcome to our EHM virtual studio, please give a warm Zoom welcome to our guest tonight, Zach Williams from the Lone Bellow.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you so much for doing this, Zach. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
We're going to get through this. We noticed that you have 4 kids, right? So, and they were on the internet. So we've kind of taken them off to make some good connections tonight. We'll get through this together and we'll plow through. So thank you for taking the time. We appreciate this. As we get started, I guess I want to start with, you had a very unique musical journey in many ways, but I guess the first question I have for you is, why did you guys select New York?
Yes. Harlan, do you want to answer that question? So my son's namesake is actually here with me right now.
Oh, wow.
He was a part of the group of 10 that all moved to New York together.
That's awesome.
He was just asking, like, why did we pick New York after Stacy miraculously got better?
Yeah. Do you know why?
Do you know why?
I mean, I'm biased because I'm from New York.
I think it's the best city in the world, and that's why we went for it.
I think it had the most opportunity for the most people.
That's true, too. Our whole group of friends, I was the only musician. Everybody else, like Harlan was a playwright kind of guy, and so was my buddy Caleb, and then we had some other people that like were trying their hand at Broadway, and some other people that wanted to start their own companies. And that city in the early 2000s just had it all.
No, that makes perfect sense. When you first started singing, you've described in your past, and I think these are your words, you described your vocals as, quote, screaming at strangers drinking lattes. How did you find the transition from journals to singing and playing the guitar? Because if I'm not mistaken, this wasn't, you hadn't really grown up a musician, or this wasn't in your plans.
Right. Yeah. I think I probably said that because my first shows were at an open mic at a Starbucks.
Okay.
And I would sing really loud and really crazy, like at the 5 p.m. latte drinkers at Starbucks.
Not what they expected.
But yeah, I guess I had good friends like Harlan that encouraged me to try to learn how to play the guitar and sing at the same time. And
how long did that take to learn?
Longer than it was supposed to, for sure. I am definitely a slow learner. So I had been writing them like journal entries and stuff as I was going through the different processes of grief. And they were like, man, you should try to just play these open mics. And it became like a really cathartic kind of safe place for me.
I'd imagine. What inspired you to take your band in more of a country direction? You've described it as Brooklyn's country band. Why that genre? Is that what you grew up listening to, or?
Yeah, I grew up in Georgia. So I was playing like my solo shows for about 7 years up in New York. It was a little more on the soul side. And then, I don't know, I think in like 2009, 2010, I just, the grass is always greener on the other side. I think I just missed some parts of my upbringing, and then I met some other people that lived in my neighborhood in Brooklyn that were also from the South. So we just started getting together, and they all knew how to play like pedal steels and banjos and upright. And there's like, when I first put the band together, there was eight people. It was just a big fun party. So I think I also have always appreciated how you can hide pretty sad lyrics in fun melodies in country music, and the only people that hear it are the people that want to hear it. I like that little dance.
I spoke briefly in the intro of the journey with your wife, Stacy, and I don't want to get too into it, but I'm wondering if you could tell the story of one of the first songs you wrote called Hospital. As someone who spent a lot of time in hospital waiting rooms with a parent, and your story resonated with me quite a bit when I first heard it. I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about that song and kind of the support you received during that time, because it was a true team effort that were kind of lifting you up.
Man, I love it. You are going back old school. This is beautiful. I wrote Hospital in 2004. I was living at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. And it was the first song I ever wrote. It was actually one of the journal entries that I read to my friends. It was kind of a poem. And they were like, man, you should just go and sing these words at an open mic. Because they all had to go. We were all in college at the time. They all had to go back to college, and they were worried about me being by myself and stuff. So that is a very like free writing, like free range, just collection of words.
I love the lyrics as you talk about walking out of there, so to speak, and grabbing your sweater and your fleets and going.
Yeah. Sorry, this radio show is going to be filled with little tiny humans. I hope it's okay.
More the merrier. That's all good.
Yes. This is little Harlan. This is Harlan's namesake. This is my youngest.
How many kids do you have?
Yeah, someday we will get blue balloons. It's going to be great. I have 4 kids and 1 dog.
And you're down in Nashville now, right?
Yes. Yeah, I live in East Nashville now. It's a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood. I mean, I miss New York terribly. But as I started having more kids and touring, I started to realize how buses worked and how much I could be home more if I lived in a central city like Nashville.
That makes sense.
So as hard as it was to go, and I just like straight up couldn't afford the rent anymore. I mean, the rent was like unreal. Honestly, the majority of my musician friends all had to leave Brooklyn.
You got there at a great time, and then you helped make that happen in a way with all the increase, with all the success that came from Brooklyn. Going back to that first song and others, how long after had you started writing journals did you move to New York after that?
So basically, Stacy was she was in like rehab and stuff for 6 months, and during that time, me and Harlan that you just met, and my other buddy Caleb and a few others, we all were just like, if Stacy ever gets better, let's move to New York City together. So she got better, so we all moved up the following year. We lived there. I lived there for 10 years, and Harlan and Caleb, honestly, all of the rest of the friends are actually still up there in the same neighborhood.
The band started as Zach and the Bellow, and it grew. What encouraged you to get more people involved and kind of change the direction of where it was headed?
You know, I think the just the camaraderie that I wanted to be a part of, having my name in the band's name wasn't going to build that foundation. So I was like, I want to take my name out. And management was really mad, and everybody got super mad at me and told me it was never going to work. And I don't know. felt like they weren't correct.
You knew it was going to be more than you, and it needed to be more than
yeah,
you.
yeah. I wanted to be a piece of a puzzle. I had done the solo thing for a long time, and I was kind of over just like being surrounded by yes men. I wanted push back. I wanted to be an equal on a team, and teaming up with Brian and Kaneen definitely brought that.
When did the band change? You mentioned it started as 8 people. When did it kind of pare down to just a few?
I mean, so we made our first record in 2010, sat on the record for 2.5 years, and just played shows in New York. And it was self-funded record. So I believed in it. I thought it was a good record. So I shopped it around to labels and all that very confidently. It was just like, what do you think? You don't have to pay to make something. Here it is. I don't think I was arrogant, but I was definitely like, this is good. This is good stuff. Let's do this. So we played shows that whole time, like once or twice a month in New York as a big old 8-piece band. And then when the Civil Wars found us and asked us to come out, we could only afford to bring 4 of us. So we did 4. And then when the record came out and it was like, we got to hit the road, it was literally like, who can quit their job? And 3 or 4 of them were like, I cannot quit my job. And we're like, okay. So that's kind of what happened.
We're chatting with Zach Williams from the Lone Bellow. Their latest album, Half Moon Light, is out now. Thank you, Zach, for playing a few songs for us tonight.
Absolutely.
What would you like to do first? We have a little internet thing. I've noticed, I've learned something with Zoom. Where if I look, I see the color of the internet is yellow right now. So we're in that area. We're going to give it a shot because it keeps going back to white as well. So we're
right on the edge.
Let's do it. What would you like to do?
I'll play a song off of our brand new record. We made this record with Aaron Dessner right before he made Taylor Swift's record. So I look forward to seeing how his life is going now.
That'd be interesting. Zach Williams here live in the EHM virtual studio for Virtual Sessions.
Happy birthday, babe. I want to feel the danger. Cigarette smokes and perfume. Firefight in the wind. I want the touch of a stranger. Make my way across the room. Neon lights are drawing me to the night, to the night. Heat in my bones, beat on the drum, all my money on the feeling. Facing the crowd, feet off the ground, 2 stepping on the ceiling. I can feel you dancing. I want the wheels to fall off, stray cat down the alley, street lights shining on your shadow, glory hanging from the heavens. Oh, it's crashing, weightless on your shoulder. Heat in my bones, beat on the drum, all my money on feeling. Facing the crowd, feet out the ground, 2 stepping on the ceiling. I can feel you dancing. Yeah. Oh, I can feel you dancing. No. Neon lights are drawing me to the night, to the night. Keep on while the city sleeps. Here and now, crack a smile. Eating my bone, beat on the drum. All my money on a feeling. Facing the crowd, feet off the ground, two stepping on the ceiling. I can feel you dancing. I can feel you dancing. I can feel you. Oh, I can feel you dancing.
Very nice. Kind of a remix, a family remix with Zach Williams performing for us tonight in the EHM virtual session. That was great. We're live here with Zach. I want to talk about the new record a little bit and your relationship with Aaron Dessner, because this was the second time you work with him. How did you meet him initially?
So we met in Brooklyn. Our neighbor, we were like practically neighbors, and he saw the video that we made of a song called "You Never Need Nobody" and dug it and found us, and we were already like gigantic national fans. So I was like, what? Well, and it was really interesting because we were kind of dubbed Americana.
Yeah.
And you know, when with genres, bands don't do that kind of stuff on purpose. They're just placed wherever, whatever. But I was like, man, the National is not Americana. Like, this is a fun little left-hand turn. So when we got together to work, and it was in upstate New York at Dreamland, I was like, oh, this is a dream. And that was the first record that we made with him. And then this last record we made with him, he had already done that work, the Big Red Machine with Justin Vernon, and that huge project, Day of the Dead, and obviously produced all the national records and just had done tons of really, really special stuff. And him and John Lowe, built the studio up close to Hudson, New York. And I went up to visit, and I was just like, man, this is a whole other level. Like, he was finding sounds that I had never experienced before.
I was curious, what were the differences that you noticed? I'd imagine comfort level with working with Aaron the second time around. Obviously, it sounds like you did it in a different studio.
Yeah.
But what were the things that stuck out to you? Were you more comfortable in, I don't want to say fighting back or discussing songs? I'd imagine it was a little easier the second time around.
It was. And it was the first time that we had ever like gone back and worked with a producer again. We've had the opportunity to work with these insanely huge producers, but it was always the first few days like, hey, how are you? I'm Zach. Well, we actually became friends with Aaron, stayed in close touch with him. So we had that like unity already. And I think probably my favorite difference with working with Aaron the second time was he really didn't want us to hit high notes just because he knew we could. He was like, I think that's kind of become like a really comfort zone for you. So he wanted us to try to record the songs in different keys where I like used a different registry of my voice that I never use. And it scared me to death. I mean, I was like, this is not going to be good. But then I trusted him. And at the end, once all of the other pieces were put together, it was like there was this new expression of emotion that we used to only carry with our vocals. That was like we were trusting the other sonic things happening in the song.
That's great. Well, I love the new record, and one of the things that stands out about it too is that is a really a truly collaborative approach. There's a lot of personal stories from Kanine on this record about her family. Some interesting topics with immigration as well. Brian brought that to the table for this. You took a very serious approach to selecting these songs. What was it like to, uh, even personal too, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's your grandmother playing the piano in the
Mhm.
interludes. How did you, what inspired you to select that, but also the order of the songs and what made it on the record?
Yeah. Well, while we were writing the songs, uh, we were toying around with the idea of like, man, we want to do something to pay homage to the actual music that we grew up listening to, like Boys to Men and you know Biggie Smalls and like I mean
What's a
we listened to country music
for
too,
that?
but
Yeah,
like
it's
you
great.
know we were kind of done with playing the game of like, what's your inspiration? We'd be like, Dolly Parton. And it's like, Mariah Carey.
The real
Um,
inspirations, yes.
so we wanted to like do a skit on this record. Like if you listen to, like the Miseducational Lauryn Hill, there's this skit that flows. And that got kind of pushed away. And then we were at the studio, and a few months before, my grandfather had passed away, and he had this beautiful funeral. And my grandmother hadn't played the piano in decades.
Wow.
And she, at the end, just decided to wander up to the piano and just slayed this epic melody. Um, and I remembered that one of my family members had recorded the
I was going to ask if that was the actual
funeral.
recording. Wow.
Yeah, so what you hear is in the interlude and the outro and all that. That is my grandmother at the funeral playing the piano while her husband
Wow.
is being like carried down the middle aisle by the pallbearers. So it's a really, I just wanted, I felt like one of the tensions that ended up bubbling up in this latest record is this celebration of life and death. So I was like, man, it was like a standing ovation at the end of a funeral.
Yeah.
It was just this beautiful little juxtaposition that happened.
Very nice. With the order of the songs, was it difficult because these songs are very personal? Was it hard to pare them down? And because it's hard to say one song is better than another. But how did you decide which songs made the record?
Yeah, that was really difficult. We recorded 18, and then we had to pare it down. So I think one of the ways that we did it was we knew that we were going to release like a deluxe version later,
Okay.
which we're going to at the new year. So like we knew that those other 6 songs will like have life.
Okay.
And then I mean it's such a beast. When you're picking songs and people have already gotten like emotionally attached to everything, I mean it's like it's gloves off. It gets really dirty. But fourth time around doing it, we have a stronger trust with our like motivations. So yeah, and then picking the order. I mean, that's where it's really nice to have somebody like Aaron to not be in the band to be like, hey, this seems like a good order. Because when you're in the middle of the circle, like you can't.
I'd
Insane.
imagine you're so close to it that you can't see it sometimes. Let's do another song for
Let's do
tonight
it.
in EHM Virtual Studio. We're with Zach Williams from the Lone Bellow. I do want to get into your work with Dave Cobb
Yeah.
on the previous record. We'll chat about that in just a little bit. But it's Zach Williams from the Lone Bellow live here in the studio. Thanks for doing this tonight. 92.9
Yes, sir.
at EHM.
This is a song called Count on Me. This world can take you, need an arm around your neck, somebody you can talk to. When it shakes you, but no one else will say it, and you need to hear the truth. Let it break you. Let it help you lay down what you held on to. Let it break you. Let it help you lay down what you held on to. Scared to fail you. The clouds come down. I feel like I got everything to lose. Been a friend to trouble. After losing it all, I got nothing else to lose. Let it break you. Let it help you lay down what you held on to. Let it break you. You can count on me. I can count on you. Help you lay down what you held on to. Help you lay down what you held on to. You count on me, I can count on you. Count on me, if I can count on you. Count on me, I can count on you. Count on me, I can count on you. Help you lay down what you held on to. Help you lay down what you held on to. What you held on to. Yeah, bro.
Zach Williams in the EHM virtual studio doing some songs from the new record tonight. We appreciate that. Wanted to talk about the previous record if we can. Did you guys move down to Nashville right after to record this record? Is that what the timing kind of fits?
It wasn't to record the record. But it did happen like right before we moved down. Stop, please. Go. Bye. Yeah.
Because you work with Dave Cobb on it, I'm curious. He's kind of the go-to producer in Nashville these days with Jason and Sturgill. What was that experience like, and what were I guess, compare that to your experience with Aaron in the second record?
Sorry. Well, hey, any other capable adult, come and help me with this child.
We need help.
And run for president. So working with Dave, it's exciting, right? Are you guys excited? This is nice. Working with Dave Cobb was so fun because he works at RCA Studios, and that's like this incredibly historic place. And he had just moved in, so there was a lot of excitement about that. I loved working with Dave. Dave and I became friends, and I'm actually now like on his like quiet publishing team. So I will like write songs for other projects that he's working on, and that's just like a lot of fun having that other kind of thing going on.
Another outlet, yeah. As you moved down with that record, and now, I guess, what were the differences with Dave?
Get him and take him outside. Get him and take him outside. Go. Bye. I love you. Go. Sorry. Go ahead.
What were the differences between Aaron and Dave that kind of stuck out as far as different producers and things you were like, wow, I didn't see it that way?
Yeah, I think, Dave, his thing that he really digs is capturing like the initial live energy of a song and being like, let's lay that down. Aaron is more of a savant. Aaron is he will take months to really think about it and figure out. And, like when we were working with Dave, we were also wanting to make a different sounding record. We wanted this like big live kind of rock and roll country record. Yeah. And with Aaron, we started the majority of the songs just humming, and we would hum into the microphone, and then some of those songs actually just kept the hums as like some of the main like foundations of the sound of the song. So yeah, it's definitely like quiet and subdued to like Dave is like a bro. He's like,
let's have fun. Yeah, let's rock in the studio. Are you working on an Imagine? And we've had I have to imagine you've been probably quarantined for the past 6 months with your 4 kids. I can see that it probably hasn't been easy. Have you been writing? How have you been coping with all of this?
Yeah. So I actually, it's funny at the beginning, I was talking to John Paul White one time, and we were supposed to write a song for Dave. And we got on a Zoom call, and I was like, "Hey man, when you write with your buddies, you catch up for a little while, and then, it kind of falls in. You start writing." So I was like, "Well, you ready to write?" And he was just like, "No." He's like, "I'm not doing it. I'm not forcing it." And he said, "I've actually just kept all of my like writing sessions scheduled because I just want to catch up with my friends."
That's
I was
interesting.
like, "Yeah." I think that there was a lot of writers that didn't have that just like didn't want to force writing songs because we're pretty sensitive folks. So you're taking in all the information around. Hold on one second. Arlen. Hey, Arlen.
Thank you for being here tonight for EHM's virtual sessions with Zach Williams. And I notice a lot of familiar faces, so it's cool to see you guys come back. And I do think that if you've been with us all of this journey through the EHM sessions, you're going to remember this one. I think this is actually a lot of fun. So, and so far so good with the internet. I don't want to jinx it, but
All right.
we welcome you
We're
back.
back. We're back. Yeah. What were we saying about working with kids at home? Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a little difficult,
It.
and maybe the next record hasn't been written just yet.
But yeah, I'm doing a solo record. I'm making
wow.
it with Robert Ellis and the boys from White Denim. So I've been renting a car and driving out to Fort Worth, Texas,
Wow.
and sleeping in his van in his driveway and masking up and going in. And I'm really excited. I've had so much fun. I haven't made a solo record since 2009.
Wow.
And the band's been totally cool with me doing it. And yeah, so that's been a lot of fun.
Is there a timeline for that project, or just kind of?
I think if I can squeeze a little more money out of the label, because I want some brass and some strings, I think I'll be able to have it done and released first quarter of 2021.
Yeah, very nice. Well, we look forward to that. Let's do one more song, and then we'll wrap up with some listener questions. If you have any questions, you can shoot them to me in the chat, and we will get to them as we go. But thank you to Zach Williams for spending time with us tonight, and we appreciate it because it looks like you've got a very busy house, and we appreciate the time. Thank you.
I'm married, but my wife decided to go to Aldi during this time, so it's not usually this crazy.
This is fun. This is what it is. We're all getting.
And I'm looking forward to the conversation I'm going to have with her the second she gets home. This is to my wife. You will never need nobody. You will never bear alone. And I try to get your affection. All I ever do is wrong. You could break a heart in your sleep. Oh, the way you move makes a grown man weep. They all line up at your door, saying, please, believe I can't take no more. You never need nobody. You never been alone. And I try to get your affection. All I ever do is wrong. Oh, you could calm a storm with your tone. And the way you sing makes the mockingbird hum. And the grass you walk on gives way, saying you please, please come back this way. You never need nobody. You've never been alone. And I'll try to get your affection, and all I ever do is wrong. Give me your hottest fever and loudest scream in the crowd. All of these good times can change the way I feel about you now. Well, give me your loudest fever, loudest scream in the crowd. And all of these good times can't change the way I feel about you now. Ooh. Now I know you got that smile, and the way it shines can drive a man half wild. But I won't dance around this no more. Oh, the only one you should smile for. Oh, you never need nobody, and you've never been alone. I try to get your affection, and all I ever do is wrong.
Zach Williams, part of our EHM virtual sessions tonight, live from his house. Got a lot going on. I have to say the chat is a big fan of you, and someone just called you Mr. Mom as well. So
Dude,
they're enjoying
remember
this.
that all right, who's the best Batman ever?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. That's right. And do you remember the Mr. Mom movie?
Oh yeah, they made us watch it in school for some reason. Looking back,
What?
just wanted to keep it busy. I don't know. I think they were trying to teach. I think it was like home ec or something, and they wanted to do different roles. But yeah, he
It's
was.
like, here's how you don't cook.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Dude,
funny.
right on.
Now you're keeping busy these days. Any questions? Throw them into the chat. I'm curious how you got together with the guys from White Denim. Did you know them from the road?
So it's really cool. So well, me and Leon are buds.
Okay, yeah.
And then Robert Ellis, he moved to Fort Worth during the pandemic and started working with Josh from White Denim, who owns and runs Nile City there in Fort Worth, which is where the first Leon Bridges record was made, and Josh did that and all that. So yeah, so they've got this like sweet little startup going, and I honestly, Robert's like one of my favorite people to have out on the road with us. And I wanted to do a record with peers. I wanted to do a record where it wasn't like this like producer. So like Robert's an incredible piano player and guitar player, and we all kind of like have a say in what's happening, and it was just fun.
It's great. Have you when did you write these songs? Have they been around for a while, or?
So a few of them have been around for a long time. Some of the songs are really like not radio friendly, like don't have any choruses, just like weird streams of thought kind of thing. So I always knew that they weren't going to fit into the Lone Bellow thing. And then other ones were just songs that that I started writing just while we've been home. But yeah, I've had some of the songs for a decade.
We look forward to it sounds like the first quarter of next year. If I'm not mistaken too, you guys have done some drive-in shows as a band recently.
Yeah.
What's that experience like to be playing in front of cars and honking and windshield wipe clapper? How does that work? It's got to be a lot different.
You know, it's fun. I didn't know what it was going to be like when we were walking into it, and then I you could still like feel the love, even though people were in their cars, like they were like blinking their headlights instead of clapping, and like it's not ideal,
Yeah.
but at the same time you still feel that like that beauty.
The connection is still there. That's great. That actually
Yeah.
still, you can still. Are you doing a lot of those shows, or was that kind of just a quick?
Just 5. Yeah, just 5.
Are there plans? Were there plans to be touring? I'd imagine with the new record this past year, and that obviously was scrubbed
Oh,
for next year.
yeah, so we released the record and we were able to tour for 2 weeks, our new record. So that was
That's right. It literally, like, I think you did a show in California, and everything got shut down.
yeah. So that honestly, at first, that was absolutely selfishly, it was horrible, because we have this record that I'm really proud of, and couldn't wait to see what it felt like playing it live. And then we had to go. We had to do it, get off the road. So there's a part of me that's still wondering, like, is everything just going to be like kind of like paused, and maybe we'll tour Half Moonlight when it's safe, and it'll be like, all right,
Here's the
maybe it'll be that way. I don't know.
And you mentioned too that you have some songs that didn't make it, so there could be a deluxe edition or whatever.
There's a deluxe edition that's coming out at the new year, and I'm really excited about that. And then we actually recorded a few more songs here in Nashville for the deluxe edition as well, that we like wrote together during quarantine.
Forgive me, because it might have come out and I've missed it, but I heard you speak about a documentary that they did on the making of this. Where did that come from? Did I miss it? I apologize if it's already, because I'm curious, because
Dude, I don't know.
It's interesting watching you guys in the studio interact, and I have to imagine it was kind of a learning experience to watch that.
I've never watched it. I'm really bad about like listening or watching myself. I get like really uncomfortable. I think it's out there on the internet somewhere. I will say the reason why we did it was because the guy making the doc had done like this really beautiful work with a Frightened Rabbit.
Okay.
And
Scott, yeah.
we were like, we love, we miss Scott. We love that music. So we were like, oh yeah, just come to Aaron's studio. Cause Aaron had done a Frightened Rabbit record. So there was all this like cohesive stuff going on. But yeah, I haven't watched any of it. I won't ever either.
That's interesting. We'll have to find it out there. I thought it was interesting because it might have been one of your bandmates that talked about how watching you guys interact with each other and not argue, but kind of figure out how to come up with an answer for certain songs. But it was certainly an interesting watch. So hopefully I got to find that and watch that.
Oh, we were arguing, no doubt about it.
To put it nicely. I'm going to unmute Trish right now. Trish has a question because you did a show a while back locally. Trish, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Trish. You have a question for Zach?
Oh, yeah. I had seen you at Stephen Talkhouse with my good friend Barbara, who's a music teacher, and she's always very critical of the shows that we see, and both of us thought it was one of our best shows that we've ever gone to. And I was wondering if you guys would, or if you would be coming back there once, things get better.
Yeah, back to Stephen's Talkhouse.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh man, I mean, it's so much fun. I love. Actually, my buddy Harlan that I keep mentioning, he just drove down from the Hamptons. He owns this business called Chess at 3, where he figured out how to teach kids how to play chess at 3 years old. And one of their headquarters is in the Hamptons. So it's so fun talking to you about Stephen's Talkhouse and knowing that's where he's been stuck for the past 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'd love to go back there someday. Absolutely.
Thanks, Trish. Clara, I think we have a question from you talking about solo work. Let me unmute you there.
Hi. You're doing amazing, by the way. I was just wondering, like, what are the best and the worst parts now that you're working solo versus when you were working with the band?
Well, first of all, I'll keep working with the band. This is just like a little side fun thing. I think so when you're in a band and you make a record every 2 years, but you write like 50 plus songs a year, that record becomes incredibly precious, and all this unnecessary pressure just gets put on this like collection of 12 songs. So I think having this other outlet is just going to be really good for me, just personally. I think I'll probably be a lot easier to be around. So that's probably my favorite part of doing it. Plus I can get really weird and nobody cares. And I get like straight up meatloaf on this solo record. And then I think you miss the camaraderie of the band too, though. You get so used to making records together and having this like shorthand kind of vocabulary in the studio, and then having to like step back and explain yourself over and over to these new people that you're making a record with. Yeah, that's probably the worst part. Making music is just always way fun anyway. So like the best and worst is just like really close together, because I love it all.
Thank you very much. Brian, you had a question for Zach?
Yeah, thanks, Harry. What's up, Zach? How's it going?
Hey.
Appreciate you taking the time. I'm kind of pulled over here on the side of the road, but I love the Lone Bellow. I appreciate what you do, man.
Dude, nice.
Actually part of a band on the East End here with my dad and my sister, and you're a huge influence because also you guys use the ETL mics, the ear trumpet labs.
Yeah.
And those are just great for kind of that open sound, that natural sound. But I was also kind of wondering, so I sing, and I wonder what kind of vocal warm-up that you kind of do, because I can tell you put a lot of, a lot of strain in your voice and a lot of effort into it, and to do that night in and night out or tour must be something you really have to keep in mind.
So first of all, you have to drink like an ungodly amount of water, because your body doesn't think that your vocal cords matter as much as everything else. So like if you're the slightest bit dehydrated, it's going to fill up every other part of your body before it hits your vocal cords. So there's that.
Yeah.
And then I do it's called like the Alexander method. And it's like a breathing method that teaches you how to push sound. You like have an air pocket back here in the back of your head, and you can make it go like out. Imagine it going like that.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to sing from your chest, which is how you're going to hurt yourself in the long run, if you have it here, you just have way more power and control. But it's kind of have to learn how to do it a little bit. And then I have like a vocal warm-up that drives Brian crazy. It's like his Groundhog Day moment every night on tour when he hears Keneen and I start doing the vocal warm-up. He's like, no, we got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's funny because I grew up doing like "Mama made me mash my M&Ms, oh my," and then like do a half step up, half step up.
Yeah.
All right, I'll look into that though. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's this guy Pete Faint. You can find him on Spotify. It's just like old school. Pete Faint.
Pete Faint. Cool.
Yeah, I probably paid his mortgage with my Spotify spins for Pete.
Worth every penny.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian. Any other questions for Zach? Just send them in the chat. We're going to wrap up here. And really want to say thank you to Zach Williams tonight for spending some time with us here in the EHM studio.
Man.
Really appreciate it. And this is fun. The new record is out. Make sure you check it out. It's in the EHM New Music Bin. For the next, have you thought about the next Lone Bellow album, out of curiosity? And who would you, for producer-wise, you'd like to work with?
We haven't, honestly. We haven't. we're at this like standstill where we want to play these songs that we made. So I feel like gravitating towards working towards a new work, it just doesn't feel right now.
That makes sense.
So yeah, we have.
You haven't had a chance to let these songs create their own history and their own legacy yet. So
yeah.
Well, we appreciate you spending the time. Any other questions for Zach? Shoot him over, but I think we're going to let him go. He's got his a very full house of kids he's got to take care of. We don't want to take him away.
Sorry about that, everybody.
It was actually fun. So thank you very much. I want to say thank you to everyone for coming tonight. Please get home safe. Keep an eye out for details on our next virtual session, which is a week from tonight with the Cordovas. It's going to be October 22nd, a week from tonight at 7 p.m. with the Cordovas. And Zach, we wish you the best. Stay safe traveling back and forth to Texas, and we can't wait to hear the solo record and see what happens with the, I guess, the deluxe edition of this.
Dude, thanks for playing our music. We're grateful, you guys. Stay safe out there.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Everyone get home safe. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of EHM's virtual sessions. Have a great night, everyone. And thanks for coming. And thanks for listening to 92.9 and 96.9 EHM.